Hey guys, so I'm down here at Beaver Creek Park today and doing a little more camping because I like camping, obviously. So today I'm going to go over a little bit of how to cook dinner using a camp stove system. So it's a single burner. This one's from Jetboil and I really like it. But it's a big single burner stove. Kind of all compacts nicely. And I've got a little extra burner for it, so it's going to become a 2-burner stove. Got a pan that it comes with. I've got my other pan that I kind of like using, so we're going to use that one today. But I've got my stove here, and to set this guy up, I've got a connection for my fuel can, and this one uses a little 1-pound propane bottle, as opposed to the canister fuel that a Jetboil normally uses. And this just screws on top here, like such. And then this end is going to go down here where it says fuel input. Get that screwed on nice and tight. And it's not super level on my table, so I'm going to find a stick really fast to try to make my system a little more leveled out. Grab a little stick. I'm not sure which one's going to take. You can just prop a stick under there to help level out my stove, and that may have been a little too much stick. Let's try a smaller one. And that looks pretty good, so we're just going to let that stay like that. I have this satellite burner here, and the way this is going to work, so one of the cool pieces about it is it's going to plug into my big stove and allow me to use the same fuel instead of having to have a separate Jetboil for this part. So I got a little output over here. Nice and snug. Kind of use the legs here to make it a little more level on its own. I have what's called a pot support, and that's because what I'm going to have on the second burner is going to be a pot of water, and I don't want the burner burning a hole in the pot. So we got a little pot support right there, and we're ready to get going. Don't need those 2 sticks. So what we're making tonight is we're going to do some steak and potatoes. So I've got my steak here, all ready with some salt and pepper and paprika, so it's just kind of resting, waiting to go. And I already diced up my potatoes. I'm going to boil my potatoes in my big pot here, and this is what's going to go on the little burner. So to get this thing going, bring the camera around on this side. So to get this going, I've got my fuel knob here, and it's going to start letting fuel out until I can hear it. And this little lever ignited it, and I can hear it going, and I can feel some heat coming off of it. So my pan can start to warm up. I'm going to dial it back just a little bit. And then over here, I'm going to get this one going with my regulator right here. Go until I hear it. And this one's got an auto start. And that one's going. And now that those are going, I can put my pot of water right there to start boiling for my potatoes. I'm going to turn this guy up quite a bit so that my water gets going very quickly. My pan I'm going to let warm up a little bit before we put our steak in it. And make sure this is sitting properly.
Pausing you.
Okay, so my water's going, my pan is warming up. I'm going to put my potatoes into my water so that as it comes to a boil, my potatoes get cooked. And we've got a big pile of potatoes because there's 2 of us here tonight. Okay, potatoes are going. Pan is heating up. Dial it up just a little bit more. I didn't remember to bring any oil or butter with me, so I'm going to hope that there's enough fat on my piece of steak to help fry it, and then after my potatoes boil, I'm going to put them in here to fry as well into the pan. But I think we're ready to go, so we got our steak. It's just a little big, so hopefully it shrinks a touch as all the fat starts to render. But we've got that going. I'm going to dial it down so it's nice and kind of a medium flame. And that's how we're going to cook our steak. And we're hoping for sort of a medium rare to medium steak. So we're about halfway through our cooking now. We've got our potatoes boiling over here. We've got our steak going and it's starting to smell real good. So we're about the point where we need to flip our steak. And then once that's done, we'll have our steak, and we're going to take our boiled potatoes and throw them into the fat from the steak to give them a little bit of friedness, kind of crispiness like a french fry. And that's going to be, after that, we're going to be ready for dinner. So, got our knife and our fork. Our big steel skillet here. Oh, we might not be quite ready to flip yet. Oh, yeah, there we go. Scrape up from this side too. We've got not a bad crust through the middle on our steak. Some of the edges are a little uncrusted, but that comes from being more up on the side of the pan instead of flat in the pan. So our steak might have been a little bit big for this pan, but that's okay. We'll get through it. So it looks like our steak's about done and our potatoes are nice and soft and tender. So we're gonna turn our boiler off on the potatoes. We're gonna leave, we'll turn the big stove off while we get everything moved around, and then we're gonna strain our potatoes, and then we're gonna throw them into the fat from the steak, and that's hopefully gonna give us some nice fried potatoes. In the meantime, we're gonna let our steak rest. As steak loses a little bit of moisture in the cooking process, and when we leave it to rest, it can reabsorb some of that. Ooh, that's gonna be good. So see, we got some fat and renderings left in the pan there. We're going to use those for our fries. But we're going to take our steak and we're just going to cover it and let it rest like that. Next thing we got to do is strain out our potatoes. So kind of get a little creative here in how to do it, because I don't have a strainer. So we're going to kind of just, first move, just going to hold it back with the lid. And dump our water. And my dog is going to attack that little grass spot because it's going to taste like starchy potato water. But that worked. So we got our potatoes ready. So we're going to fire our burner back up. And we're going to make some fried potatoes. So now we are going to go on pretty high heat. See all that fat start to bubble in there a little bit. And then dump in our potatoes. And we're going to let them fry for a little bit. And once those are fried up and our steak is rested, we'll show you what our final product is. So we've got our steaks all rested. It's been about 5-7 minutes. We've got some good looking potatoes here we're going to scoop out. We're getting a little stuck to the pan, but that's okay. We'll make sure we get that all cleaned up before we go to bed, and we put everything away so that none of the critters get to it. and our system's closed off, and there we have it, steak and potatoes for dinner. See you guys back in class.